Welcome to 13 Minutes of News. 13 minutes or less. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I did. I was able to spend it with my son and my mom and our dogs and our reptile, and it was very nice and chill and relaxing. And I hope everybody else had whatever adventure you wanted. From full-blown Thanksgiving parties to small intimate gatherings. Hope everybody had a great one. And for those that worked, I hope it was profitable for you. And I look forward to talking about that some this week, how the holiday went. I want to do a comparison to last year. So I also want to give huge propers to Paraworks, guys. We're going to be talking about it a lot. And don't forget that every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern is the premiere of a new Para Roundtable every week. So there's still the Thursday Rodeo Roundtable, but I'm also doing the Para Roundtables on different subjects with different guests each week. So let's jump in. So Tokyo is announcing that it is giving Uber drivers a union. Tokyo. Mexico, gig workers are going to qualify for Social Security now. We've been talking about this stuff, you guys, and I've been telling you that, hey, if things keep in this direction, that we're going to find ourselves here in a weird state. And here we go, guys. I mean, we're very close to December. So we're just about a month out from the changes that are already going to happen in some states. And I know a lot of people aren't prepared. Hopefully, at least a lot of you guys. I know some people that have literally watched this news that I do, or the channel or whatever, that have emailed me and stuff and are in some of the states and have said they've looked it up and they are concerned, and at least they're starting to understand, because I really don't want this to blindside people when it comes to different markets in the new year. There will be some, changes. New York is not the only thing we're going to see change. There are some states that are going to change. And there's some states that are still, at this very moment, still trying to push it through to get changes in place where maybe a lot of you would like to see these type changes. I don't. I like being an independent contractor. I like earning on my own basis. But the world moving to a gig model is also making the world move to their own. Countries handle it differently, might call it even different things, but to their own system of unions. And I don't think any of us, one thing that we all say we want all the time, better pay. Okay, well, better pay that comes with hard work, that comes with knowing your markets, all that kind of stuff, because you're not going to convince multi-billion-dollar corporations to look out for you or any other worker. And so to that I say, it is what it is. Can you make it work within the constraints of what you have to do? Can you go out there in your market and multi-app, single app, whatever works for you? And we all live in, towns of 1,000 to 9 million or, 7 million, whatever New York City is. But, everything in between. So it is so dynamic and different from market to market. But my challenge is does gig work in your market for you? So cost of living is different, all that kind of stuff. We talk about it a lot, but I don't want these. I don't want to be paying. This is one's a hard debate. We can talk about this on a deeper dive, but I don't want to be paying into Social Security, because obviously that means a W-2, but I don't want to be paying into that right now. I'll choose independent contractorship over paying into that system. And then on top of that, having a union reach into my pocket every week when I get paid and pull more money out to be my union representative. And if the union strikes or anything goes wrong, I have to strike and I can't earn during the time that that's happening. So that said, that's my little union rant. We all got to be careful going into this new year, guys. And be curious. I'm not 100% on how some things will change. I'm pretty familiar with Massachusetts, pretty familiar with Washington State. But Pennsylvania, and Minnesota. There will be changes. How dramatic are they going to be? You guys are in some very questionable states on how those will land as of the first of the year. And it's not going to, they're not going to announce it and say it's coming in 3 years. These are going into effect on January 1st. So in those said markets, you should be getting very aware. And if you ever want, obviously, go to ridesharerodeo.com. You can find all the news that I talk about here, everything, or you can email me, steve@ridesharerodeo.com. I'd love to hear from you, and I'm always here to help or point you in the right direction, at least, of some people. Because I've done a lot of research that, I love helping people, but I'd love to be able to pass it along to you instead of you having to dig for a bunch of stuff in your state that I've already looked up for you. So you can take it from there, kind of thing. Happy to share all of that I have had. So a funny thing, I was watching some of Hannibal's videos this week, and I know that Torsten, the rideshare professor, had a strike going, or was endorsing a strike. I love where Torsten's head's at. I don't know how strikes work virtually. I'm not even a big fan of strikes when they're not virtual, because I've seen that very much hurt people. I've been very involved in unions in my life or around them enough to really take in what the pros and cons are. And it's a personal thing, so I won't really address it. To each his own, however you feel about it. But I don't need a union representative. I would rather things just work out, because I believe in free enterprise, and I believe that the companies have a right to operate how they want. But how long can they do it in a loss? How long can they, autonomous is not around the corner. It's not. We're being shown a lot of smoke and mirrors, and we know that, but it's not around the corner, and all of these apps know it. The devices that they do have out on the road are unbelievably costly to maintain, and they don't work properly, just everything. If you need to, go check out a lot of my content. You can find a lot of autonomous stuff. But I will say that on top of what Torsten is doing, and I do, Torsten's a friend. I've talked to him several times, and his head and his heart are in the right place. That's for sure. I know there was some difference of opinion between Sergio and Chris and Torsten, but that's just how it is. At least at the end of the day, everybody respects that we all have different opinions. But I did see an article coming up all over the last couple days that was saying that today is Saturday, and that today Uber and Lyft plan to strike at DIA, which is the Denver International Airport, my airport. So I've been looking to see if any news is out about how that went, because I wasn't seeing much. And even I saw in one of Hannibal's videos, he said that he had Google searched. This was a few days back before I saw this out. Was anybody talking about this strike? And they weren't. And I was kind of seeing that same thing. I wasn't seeing any news that was showing that people were talking about this. So, I'm just now seeing a bunch of this. So I am interested to see, because now it does look like they got a little thing. That's always my first thing with the strikes. Like the Instacart virtual strike that happened a year ago or so was one of the worst strikes ever. It didn't cause any surging to the people who did work it. It didn't cause any hiccup to the Instacart system, and almost next to nobody actually followed through on striking. So when you do that, you just empower the company more, because they realize we can do whatever we want. This is their organized strike, and they can't even touch us. So I'm not saying, you gotta do what they say, but if you want to work independently on their platforms and accept the offers you want, you do have to follow their rules. Independent contractors have to do that too. Being your own boss doesn't mean everything you get to call the shots on. A lot of times the shots are called for you. Again, I'm always happy to get into this in detail. I think that on this coming week's Thursday Roundtable, I would like to talk about being too big to fail. It's been a while since we've talked about this, and I want to talk about this in relation to Uber. I have a handful of things that I would like to mention and just put it into some perspective. So, with that said, join us. And if you haven't seen the Rodeo Roundtable Thanksgiving special, go check it out right now, or when you can. Soon. Also, I saw a story this morning. Fentanyl delivered via Uber Connect. I've talked about this many times. They shut Uber Connect down in the Bay Area when gangs were running Oakland drugs to the city or to North City, Marin County, in the San Francisco Bay Area. And they were using Uber Connect instead of their own cars because why not? And they got away with it for a long time, and there was this sting operation. They ended up busting everybody. Uber Connect shut down for a while, and then it started back up. And now I have said this many times. They're going to start delivering drugs with it. Well, they are now. They're delivering fentanyl legally. And, you can look this up on ridesharerodeo.com. There's a couple articles up on it, and it's, same old story. If you see any of the links on CBS or NBC that you can see some video, same old story. Uber driver's like, I didn't know. And, it's, be careful if you're driving Connect. Know that you have no clue what's in your car. And I get it. If a person's in your car and you're doing rideshare, you don't know what's on them either, but at least it's on them. On Uber Connect, it's somebody you don't know putting a thing in your car and Uber saying, okay, you've independently contracted that job. That's your client. We are now stepping away. We don't know anything that's going on. So there's no helpline for this. Helpline would be 911 and you pleading your story. I don't know. The last thing I wanted to mention real quick is that UPS and FedEx are picking up on gig work and flex time and all that kind of stuff. They've had to raise rates because of the pandemic. They've seen a drop in both in their service they can provide, days that'll be delivered, everything. And they are now stepping into the gig world. So UPS owns Rodeo, but we're going to see more UPS and we're going to see more FedEx really stepping into optimizing gig workers. That said, we're going to be talking about Paraworks this week a little bit, and some other things. That's 13 minutes of news in 13 minutes or less. Peace.